It should be looked at as this should be part of your day, just as much as going and going to the end of your day and looking forward to that big meal or that drink or that time to yourself of sitting in Netflix and chill or whatever it is. And there's nothing, I'm not judging anyone on that because personally I do plenty of it, and my wife and we all do plenty of it. We're all guilty of it. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Dr. Alex Show. And woo, I think we're going to have a bit of a kick your butt show here. This is going to be your CTJ, or coming to Jesus talk, if you will. And it's going to be the what for talk, if you will. And this has been a topic I've been thinking about for a while. And it was kind of funny, just being fully honest. Woke up this morning. Woke up doing my devotional, study, exercise, getting things ready, and like a madman, getting everything ready for getting everyone out of the house, getting Kuiper ready, getting Dr. Lauren out of the house. She had to get out early to make it to an appointment. And lo and behold, I check my schedule and I'm like, whoa, I am going in studio today and I have nothing to talk about. So I had a couple of things in mind, but I had already talked about those things, even though I could talk more about all sorts of topics like anxiety and depression and ADHD and autism and all this good stuff. What has been really coming up a lot is essentially taking responsibility for yourself and your family. And I'll go into details more. And this has been really hitting home. It's not that people don't take responsibility for themselves, and it's not that they're not making the right decisions. It's just that we all know that right now there is a bunch of craziness going on in the world. And as I'm recording this, this is December 20th of 2023. So putting a timestamp on that. There is sheer madness occurring in the Middle East. There is a political turmoil all over, especially in the States. I mean, no one can agree on anything. And with all of this going on, it is just increasing everyone's anxieties, the fear of the unknown and what is going on in this world. And with all of that, with all of the added distress of life with inflation is real. I mean, groceries are way more expensive. Gas has gone up and down and still higher than it normally is. And this isn't a political show. It's just with all of the added stresses, at least the stresses in our United States of America, it's really getting to people. And with that, what I want to do is have everyone slow down, take a breath, and look at what is going on around you and what you can take control of. This kind of brings up a fascinating topic called free will. And little side tangent, you'd be surprised how little in control we are of ourselves. It's not that we don't have free will. It's just that free will may not be what we think it is. For example, when we do something, like right now, I just raised my right hand up like I'm about to swear an oath sitting in a courtroom. What had happened was milliseconds, if not microseconds, before I raised my hand up, my brain was already firing. Things were already occurring before I even thought about raising my right hand up or even thinking about demonstrating this topic. So when we talk about free will, it's complicated, but we can still have the ability to decide which direction we want to go in life, especially with our health. And when it comes to this show, what we want to do is focus on the fact that our health, our three core aspects of our health, our physical health, our spiritual and emotional health, and then with that, what you can say, I guess the other topic is within physical is biochemical health. So nutritional aspects, physical activity, and spiritual and emotional health. Those are the basic three stressors. We can decide what direction we go with these. It doesn't matter what distress you experience in life. Is it a biochemical stress like having toxicities or deficiencies in your body? Or are you making the choice to put things into you that you shouldn't? Too much alcohol, drugs, recreational or otherwise, whatever it is you're doing, you can make the choice to go the other way and swing for the better. Is it always that easy? No. Is addiction a real thing that has to be dealt with? Yeah, that sounds like a great show topic. We should get on that. It doesn't matter the stress. Is it a physical distress? Sitting down too much is a huge physical distress. Sitting is the new smoking. And then spiritual and emotional based stresses. It doesn't matter the distress, if it's a relationship that's gone sour, if it is losing a loved one, if it's someone in the hospital. It doesn't matter the distress, biochemical, physical, or emotional. It all gets processed in the brain the same way. And we can't change our circumstances at points in time, but we can certainly change how we respond to it. And that right there is the definition of responsibility. It is your respondability to topics. For all of my fellow Christians out there and other traditions and religions who have this central tenet, that's basically what Christ spoke of. It is your respondability to situations. You can blow up in anger and go rage and, destroy physical things around you and yell and scream and have a fighting match, and then come back down and figure it out. Or you can take a breath and do your best to work your way through the situation. And the second option is always going to work out better in the end. It's just, if you want to go blow up and rage out, the thing is it feels good in the moment, but it's going to feel terrible afterwards, right? And that's what I always try to remember. So with health, it's just overall no different. And this might sound like I'm going to end up just kind of bashing the system and things like that. That's not the case. This is all about a bit of a wake-up call. And what I want to do is go into some stats here. Depending on the textbooks you read and experts you read, I've seen stats of, for instance, autism in the 80s, 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 30,000. Now we're going into the CDC stating 1 in 36 children have autism in the United States. And that's gone up from 1 in 44, and that's gone up from 1 in 54 from the previous stat before that, when I first started studying neurodevelopmental disorders. And there's some statisticians, by the way, who think by 2025 it's going to be 1 in 2. It's only 2 years out. To have 50% of our kids diagnosed, that's a big, big jump. So hopefully it's not going to be that. 1 in 45 kids or adults have autism. So the whole point here is, when we go from such a low, decent, or relatively low prevalence to a high prevalence, we're talking about there's something wrong. And that's for a whole nother show and everything that's already been discussed on this show about autism. But for everything that is being done, charities, organizations, non-for-profits working together with NGOs and governmental organizations, hospital groups, big networks, piecing together and putting together the ability to treat autism, it's not getting any better. It is, and the rates of it are only going to get worse. So with that, as a parent with someone with autism, what can you do? You can do, and you will do, your very most and your very best to dive in and figure out what you can do with your child to help increase their functionality and get the most out of them. And with other stats when it comes to kids, just kind of going down the line here, and you'll get the theme here. Let's talk about obesity and obesity with kids in the United States. And it has gone up a lot. We're looking at 1 in 5 kids in the United States between ages of 2 and 19 years old they are obese. And obesity is a huge problem for a plethora of health issues, meaning obesity is going to contribute, if not cause, and go down the line of cardiovascular issues, autoimmune issues, immune-based issues, and then the next topic is diabetes. 1 in 5 kids have obesity. I was recently having some dinner with very good friends and neighbors. Hi, Waskas. And they were talking about how their little girl was at the pediatrician getting a checkup, and the pediatrician did the measurements and was like, "Whoa, hey, I won't say her name. Hey, you're normal. You're not overweight." And he goes, "What do you do? What do you do? Why are you like this?" And she just goes, "I go outside and play with my friends." And it was just perfect. And he just goes, "That is amazing. That's exactly what you should be doing, and that's exactly what everyone else should be doing." And I believe, my friends, I'll have to double check and verify. They stated that this pediatrician said that obesity has gone up in the pandemic, has gone up 800% with our kids. That's pretty crazy. That's a humongous stat. I can't quite wrap my head around that one. Um, pretty unbelievable. Uh, so going into obesity, the next one is diabetes. So what I want to do is pull up this tab here and type 2 diabetes. And this is coming from Hopkins Medicine. And during the pandemic, John Hopkins had done some research and figured out that there's a huge increase in the rate of type 2 diabetes. So a quick recap on diabetes is you have type 1, which is autoimmune-based diabetes. This is where the immune system is attacking the pancreas and related enzymes and things that get released, and we cannot manage our blood glucose because of this autoimmune attack. Then we have what used to be called adult onset diabetes, which is now called type 2 diabetes because it's gone up so much in kids that they had to change the name to type 2 because it's gone up enough that, well, it doesn't make sense to call it adult onset when it's happening enough in kids. So with that, one of the stats that stood out to me the most with John Hopkins is this stat of let me look here. This work was done in 2020. So it says during the pandemic years, the rate of it has increased from 825 to 1,463 in the first years of the pandemic. They looked at 3,113 pediatric patients, and they looked at the rates of those patients, and it went from 825 to 1,400. And this is an increased rate of 77%, or knocking on the door of 80% of kids with type 2 diabetes. And John Hopkins wasn't the only one to look at this. There was also a school out of Colorado. I believe the Colorado School of Medicine had done work with them or done their own study and found pretty similar statistics. And this is pretty important because let's go to, I guess, hold on to that thought. Let's stay on the kid realm here. Let's go into, for instance, ADHD. Go back to neurodevelopmental disorders. So from the CDC, looking at ADHD and increases of ADHD, the prevalence of children ever diagnosed with ADHD increased by 42% between 2003 and 2011. We go from 7.8% to 11%. And that's 2011. And that does not go into, obviously, this last decade. And if you haven't figured it out, it's only getting worse. And this is just ADHD. Going back to autism, that's rapidly going up. We could look up dyslexia, and telling you, I will eat my shorts if it is going down. I doubt it. Learning disabilities in general, same thing. It is not going to be going down. It's going to be going up. So going back to diabetes, this is massive because if in the research world, if you have heard this saying called type 3 diabetes, if this is ringing a bell, type 3 diabetes in the research world is called dementia or Alzheimer's. In the research world, they don't really call Alzheimer's. They call it type 3 diabetes. And if type 2 diabetes is one of the leading types of diabetes with adults, and a lot of people with Alzheimer's, one of the most common form of dementia, have blood sugar dysregulation problems, then we're going to have this increase, a massive increase of type 3 diabetes or Alzheimer's or dementia in the United States. And just a couple of quick stats here with dementia. Someone in the world develops dementia every 3 seconds. Holy cow. If it weren't a cardinal sin of airtime, I would go silent for 3 seconds. So just count to yourself 3 Mississippi, and 2 people have been diagnosed with dementia in that time frame. There are over 55 million people worldwide living with dementia. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh there. I just glanced over at producer Nick, and he was laughing at what I said. There are over 55 million people worldwide living with dementia in 2020, and this number will double almost every 20 years. And all of this, if this doesn't hit home, man, I am not sure what will. Between autism and dementia, one of those, in my opinion, will bankrupt our country, will bankrupt the U.S. And this is not to bring on politics. It's not to bring on any of that. But when you read up on the statistics and you read up on the research, and those smart guys in the labs take their information to governmental organizations and they cross-reference numbers and they plug more numbers, and the smart people in the government start to plug numbers like through the CDC, the NIH, then what they're stating is that, this isn't me stating it also, I guess, is that if Alzheimer's isn't going to bankrupt our country, autism will. And if we put autism aside for just a sec and we look at Alzheimer's, let's break this back down. Type 3 diabetes basically says you have blood sugar dysregulation, which is always going to be a component to someone with Alzheimer's, the most common form of dementia. There's all sorts of other theories and things that contribute to Alzheimer's. You can't just lump it into one thing. It's never that simple for a disease so complex. But we will always have blood sugar problems. Then we have an increase in type 2 diabetes in adults, and it's gone so much of an increase that it's trickled down to our kids. This is a lifestyle issue. This is people not eating the right foods, eating too much of the foods that they shouldn't be eating, and then not moving. Sitting is the new smoking. As I sit, the way this studio is designed, as I sit here, I realize that I'm saying this, but people are way too sedentary. And I will argue that it is nothing against the CDC, but for instance, they will state that if it still exists, I haven't looked up this stat. When I was going through school, they said you got to have 30 minutes of exercise most days of the week. That's not right. You basically need exercise every day. Exercise needs to be looked at as a nutrient for yourself. Exercise causes more metabolic activity and things to occur in your brain than I would say almost anywhere else. Because why does the heart rate increase, and why does our respiratory rate increase? It gets up so that way it can regulate, basically put, the blood flow to the brain. And then the brain adapts by laying down new proteins and proteins, things like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, to help grow new neurons. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, as John Ratty says in his book called Spark. If you really want to learn about what exercise does to the brain, you can read Dr. John Ratty's book, MD, called Spark. He calls it miracle grow for the brain. Just think of it like sprinkling this goodness onto the brain and causing the brain to sprout new connections, new neurons, stabilize it, and deflame it, and overall put it in a better state. And over the span of human existence, again, whatever your beliefs are, we've been on this planet 2,000 years, 10,000 years, evolved over millions of years, whatever the situation is, regardless, we have been moving so much all the way up until the point of our, let's call it the Industrial Revolution, when we've slowed down a little bit. Then we really slowed down our movement, hitting in the 2000s. Sedentary lifestyle has almost just become the thing. It's about Netflix and chill. It's about let's go and have dinner at whatever friend's house and eat a lot. And I am guilty of it. If anyone knows anything about me, they know I can pack it in. But here's the thing. Before I pack it in, I'm always going to be exercising, and I'll probably have been fasting, and I'll take other measures to take care of myself. And that's just my way of personally taking care of it. And if you want to learn more about that, maybe that'd be a great show too. But it's all about, again, sitting and doing nothing, whether it's in social situations, whether it is family time, whether it is even at work. And when it comes to exercise, it's become a topic about it being a chore. And exercise should be getting to, or it should be such a thing in your life that you look forward to doing it because it makes you feel good and it helps complete who you are for that day. Because there are things, again, that occur in our brain and in our body that increase our health and wellness and our overall well-being right then and there. The epigenetic expression of exercise kicks in right away. And it will cause a difference in mood. It will cause a difference in energy levels. It'll cause a great difference in, again, overall how we feel. It should be looked at as this should be part of your day, just as much as going to the end of your day and looking forward to that big meal or that drink or that time to yourself of sitting in Netflix and chill or whatever it is. And there's nothing, I'm not judging anyone on that because personally I do plenty of it, and my wife and we all do plenty of it. We're all guilty of it. The whole point of this is we all have to move more. And when it comes to all of this, or I guess what I would also want to state is with dementia, the next thing that will be going up is anything Parkinsonism related. Brain degenerative diseases are on the rise, and Parkinsonisms under that family is a variety of diseases, including Parkinson's. All of that is up. And when I said dementia will probably bankrupt the country, Parkinsonisms is part of that. All of this is what I'm meaning to say is the government is not here to help you. Your doctor is here to not help you either. I am not here to help you. I'm here to guide. When it comes to going and seeing your doctor, it doesn't matter the specialist, the IST, as we say, your nurse practitioner, your DO, your MD, your DC, your IST, whoever it is, your cardiologist, your neurologist, they are there to hopefully help guide you. And with that, when you go and you need help with something like that, remember that your interaction with that individual, including coming to HML functional care, it is a two-way street. It goes back to that definition of diagnosis. Di is two, agnosis means do not know. Two that do not know. We are there to figure out what's going on, why is it going on, and what can we do to help fix the problem? Whether that's an achy, halfway broken down knee, all the way up to what can I do to get off my couch and get some exercise and things done. And that's why it's called practice. It's not called perfection. And for those patients out there listening that we haven't gotten you your goals yet, man, we are doing our best to get you figured out. I promise you that. But with all of this, it is a matter of taking all of this into your own hands and realizing that you have the power to do so much for yourself. We live in the age of massive amounts of information. You have access to devices like this MacBook. You have a computer with a phone app on it that can get you information in 0.05 seconds about anything you need. The only problem with that is that information just runs a muck, and it is just all over the place, and you have to be careful of what you read because shoot, producer Nick and I were just talking about AI. You don't know if that was a person writing that article. You don't know if that was AI writing that article. You don't know if someone said, hey, write me an article so I can post it on my website, and they didn't even edit it because AI pulled it up. So yes, you have to be careful. But if you can start to realize that your health is in your hands and you can do so much more for yourself, then your overall life is going to turn around. And your health is your number one asset. If that goes, everything else goes. Just looking at examples, one of the huge causes of mortality in older people is mobility. I hate that saying, oh, I'm getting old, I'm stiff and achy. Yeah, we're all stiff and achy because we use and abuse our bodies, we use our muscles, and things are going to happen. Things are going to hurt. Don't think for a second I am not in chronic pain, even as a chiropractor. And I've seen lots of chiropractors that they're not about to help me. And that's not even because I really see them anymore. If I want to help myself with my aches and pains, or if I want help with my aches and pains, it's going to be on me. That's what's going to change my aches and pains. For instance, when I am under the long day, like a 9 or 10 hour clinic day at HML Functional Care, running around with kids, going crazy, helping people out, I am in a decent amount of pain. And then I'm not making this about me, but running around being in pain. But then the second I get home and it's time to relax, not in pain. What is that supposed to tell me? It's supposed to tell me my mindset. It means that my own frontal lobes aren't necessarily firing the way it should because I am trying to focus on everyone else's issues at hand and try not to let myself fall apart at the same time. So don't think for a second the number one patient I try to take care of every day is me. So that's why I'm up at 5 a.m. most days, doing things for myself to get myself ready. I am my first patient of the morning. And going into, let's say, cardiovascular disease, heart disease, one of the leading causes of death, knocking on the door of 700,000 people a year die of this in the U.S. I mean, 700,000 people, 695,000 and change is the stat. What is something that those people can do? They can move more. Is it that easy? No. But if you ask the right questions of what can I do to move more, you'd be surprised what can be done between swimming, recumbent bikes that can even get paid for by your insurance, for crying out loud. Just found out the other day. Going into cancer, that is a hot topic and it's very emotional. But when it comes to cancer, that's an immune system based problem. And if we can help manage our stresses better in life, I wonder what that'll do. Even read up what the NIH says about that. And then what they even stated when I was in school is 35% of cancers can be drastically affected in a statistically significant way by having the correct diet. And if the NIH says that, that's a pretty powerful statement. Accidents and unintentional injuries, that's a rough topic because then you're getting into car accidents and people like me doing dumb things, driving cars too fast and going on racetracks and stuff like that. That can't really go there. Stroke or cerebral vascular disease, that's 162,000, almost 163,000 people. That goes back to exercise and diet. If you're going to shove down your Andy's custard and all of the bad food and not eat, you're going to plaque up. You're going to have abnormalities with your cardiovascular system and your endothelial lining of your cardiovascular system, and you're going to pay a price one day. And if you accept that, great. That's your choice. But if you do not want that, realize there's so much you can do to prevent it just by turning around a few things in your diet and what you do with your physical health, let alone how you manage your emotional and spiritual health. And then going down the line, we're going down to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's still number 7. It was number 7 when I was in school. Alzheimer's disease. Again, number 1 form of dementia. We're at 119,000 people. 119,399 people die every year from Alzheimer's. And then under that, number 8 is diabetes. The thing is that'll go up. The only difference between number 6 and number 7, chronic lower respiratory diseases, is 142,000. Again, Alzheimer's is 119. That's not a big difference. Alzheimer's will probably jump soon. If these stats have not been updated for a while, I'd argue that Alzheimer's is probably at number 6. It might even be above stroke at this point, which is at 162, almost 163,000. So if you can't tell, I am a little fired up and talking pretty fast. So if you have to play this at 0.5 the rate or 0.75 the rate, it's because I didn't follow producer Nick's advice about going slow. And with all of this, the whole point is between parents that come into our office, patients that come into our office, everyone that comes in, our goal, number 1 goal, is to first find out, are they ready to get better? And the number 1 thing that we want to see in these people is the responsibility of helping themselves. And that gets a little controversial. For instance, we work on a lot of kids with needs, and a lot of people, no one asks for a child or anyone in their life with special needs. That's not the case. And so a lot of people can't afford this type of care. But the people that are coming in are ready to fork over cash, time investment, whatever it is, or do the work to get grants or scholarships or whatever it is to get this help. And if coming to us is the right path, great. If it's going somewhere else where things can get paid for, great. If it's going to another functional neurologist, great. But the whole point is it doesn't matter where you go. I'm telling you, it's more than just showing up. You have to do the work. We live in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is awesome. He gets paid, I don't know, $400 million to be a quarterback for his career. I don't know the time frame. Sorry. But it's not that he doesn't earn that. He works his butt off for that. I once heard Tim Tebow talk about not making a NFL team one time. And people were really criticizing him. He's like, oh, poor Tim Tebow. He didn't make the team and he didn't make his millions of dollars. And the interviewer asked him, like, what do you have to say to that? And he goes, well, people can say what they want. But the thing is when you work so hard for something and then don't achieve your goal, whether it's millions or hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, or it's no money on the line, you're going to be crushed. So you have to show up and you have to do the work. There's going to be lifestyle changes and things that have to occur if you really want to get the most out of your child's health or your own health. So when people come into HML, let's just dispel the secret right here. We don't just accept everyone, because if you're not ready to get help, healing is a two-way street. It is the healer's intent, Dr. Lauren, Dr. Alex, everyone else that we get to work with, and the healee's intent. Some people think they're ready, but man, they are not. And it's not anything against them. They're in their own heads, quote, or they have other things going on and they're just not ready for care. So when people want to come on for care, a lot of times we make them do a little work ahead of time. So people will come on, especially here at the end of the year, deductibles are met and they want their child checked out and they want things figured out. I have my deductible met. We had a baby. I have this child with autism and I want to get in the office right away. Okay, well, hold on. There's a few steps that we have to do. One, we got to schedule this consultation. You got to talk with Dr. Alex or Dr. Lauren first, and we got to figure out what's going on, what you've done, what you haven't done, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then explain the process to make sure that you are ready to move forward as a family, not as the child, but as a family. Then after that, if you are ready, we'll hand you the paperwork, and we're known for the paperwork, and it's only going to get worse. I'm telling you, we're up to probably 50 pages of for paperwork for adults and like 60% of that is kids. So we're at like 35% or 35 pages for kids. We're going to have you fill all that out and send us in health records in the last year, if not 2 years, from other providers. And if we don't get that, then at the very least, we want to see other tests and exams and images that have been done and get that figured out. And all of that is work. That is you taking responsibility for yourself or your child's health and helping you get things figured out. Then after that's all turned in, we're still not going to say, yeah, come on in. We're going to review it. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to see, is there any red flags to this? What's the home life like? What is the paperwork showing us? Sometimes when it comes to health issues, it can be a rare genetic disease that other providers have missed, and our paperwork is designed to help weed out some of the more common issues that pop up, like for a genetic issue, for instance, that can hinder our results, and then we're just spinning wheels and we're not getting the person any better. After all of that, then we'll get you signed up for the exam. And then all the while, it's not like insurance is paying for this, because there's things that we do. We have equipment in our office that's 20 years old, and then we have equipment in our office that is nowhere close to being on the market because it's all in testing. And all of that is deemed experimental, so insurance isn't going to pay for it. But this is what we have found in our systems, and we have found to help people. So insurance may not pay for it. They might pay for it. Either way, people have to invest in their health. And unfortunately, money is the current form of currency. And if that's what we have to do to be able to survive, at least in these United States, then that's always a big topic. Unfortunately, money is. And until the day comes that we have a few things straightened out with being able to have a foundation in place, and it's not that we don't scholarship kids. At any given time, there are 2 to 3 kids in our office, not adults, but kids, getting free care. You wouldn't know it. They're not treated any differently. It's just they've shown that there's nothing that they have to offer on the table, and that's fine. We can take care of a few at a time for free, and that's part of what we do. And until we can get something else going, we're going to be able, we're going to have to just stick with that. But with all of that, guys, this is all about, in the next coming years, there's a lot of anxiety and things out there. Let's all focus on what we can do for ourselves in our family, not in a selfish manner, but being able to help our loved ones and ourselves with our health, because that is our number one asset. And if that goes, then everything else starts to follow. And what I want to end on is our laser. Yes, our laser. And this is one really good reason why I love working with Dr. Griswold at Shed Light, because they were one of the first people to make the Avant laser readily available to the public so that people can buy these things. Yes, they're very expensive. No, I'll not tell you what it is, because actually I don't know what it is, because I haven't had to buy one for a few years and I know they've gone up. So call Dr. Griswold, shedlightcoldlasers.com. And if you want to buy one, or if you want to find a provider with lasers and go in and start getting treatments, go to Shed Light Cold Lasers and find the doctor locator. And if that doesn't work, then give them a call. Give him an email. He'll take care of it. Or contact us, hmlfunctionalcare.com, 816-768-6000. But they were one of the first people to decide, yeah, we want to make these guys readily available to the public. And the name Shed Light, to my knowledge, came from one of the great first-of-the-line functional neurologist, Dr. Joe D'Onofrio. He named his office Shed Light because the concept was to shed light on people's lives, and that light was literally using lasers, but figuratively and metaphorically shedding the light of the idea of taking responsibility for your life, of your life and your health in your own hands, and realizing you can still make very good decisions for yourself. So with all of that, everyone, I'm sure you'll hear this in 2024. Otherwise, we have a couple great things on the show lined up for 2024, and we'll see you then.